Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Set Listing Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. It's another timey-wimey episode. It's my Saturday morning. It's my guest Saturday afternoon. We are recording this, and we're less than a week away from the release of tracks two. And Sean, how you
Hey.
feeling? And are you excited about the new release?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? It's first of all, it's a joy to see you again, mate. Lovely to check in with our little Bruce chats. I was contemplating this. Okay, so it's like anyone who's listening to this, you don't need me to sell this to you, but we're about to get 83 new songs.
Yes.
It's mental. That's crazy. How the
Yeah.
hell did he hide those? It's as you say, it's a few, as we're recording this, this is Saturday, they're coming out over here on Friday. I've just ordered my vinyl version, so I'll be picking that up this week. It's, it's just beyond, it's like Christmas has just arrived
Yeah.
and it's just phenomenal. And it's not just that as well. I don't know, you probably touched on this in some of the conversations you've been having, but it's a good time to be a Bruce fan. This is unbelievable. Especially, can I just add to that, as
Please.
I am a Bruce fan who lives in Europe, because
Yeah.
uh, we, I'm literally tomorrow morning, I'm flying off to Spain to see Bruce on Wednesday night in San Sebastian. So I've got the gig. They've dropped the trailer this week for Deliver Me From Nowhere.
Yes, there.
So we've seen, I don't know how, I guess we'll come to that, but I found that quite emotional just catching that in the
I
moment.
did too.
I was queuing up for my coffee and it just dropped and I looked at it and I had to go and sit down in a quiet part of the
Yeah.
coffee house just to take it in and go, oh, it's happening. It's really, and it looks really good. And Jeremy Strong looks great. And I love it. So there's all this stuff that is just keeps happening in Bruce World. And it's a good time to be a fan of the boss.
And I guess in the Rolling Stone interview, he mentioned there's enough for tracks three, um,
Yes.
which is just, an, of course, and I say this with love in my heart. You go, after a while, what you don't have left, is it really worth giving out anymore? Like I've drained the bank account. But yeah,
Mm,
and at first he said there's no electric Nebraska, and now then he said there might be. And I talk about this often, and I wish I could remember who told this to me, Sean, but I had a guest, and he said that in '99 he was sitting in the pit, standing in the pit, thinking, this is it. This is the apex of my Springsteen fandom. The band has broken up. He's come back. They've done a reunion tour. We got a greatest hits. I guess they'll get on the road every few years and we'll do a tour, but this is as good as it's ever going to be. And he says,
yeah.
I wish I could go to that guy and tell him, you don't know what's coming. Like, you have the rising, you have Western stars, you have him performing on Broadway. You have world tours. You have Letter to You. Like you have an autobiography coming. There's no, you have no idea. You're in the halftime, you know, of your match.
It's so true. It's
Yeah.
off the scale. It's like, oh, and it's just beautiful because the good news is, I don't, yeah. Okay, this is quite interesting. Okay, so I'm a massive, huge, Bruce has been a constant in my life since I was about 17 or 18, back in the
Yeah.
70s. But before Bruce, for me, there was Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys.
Oh,
And
I was just about to say the same thing, Sean. So
mm,
please continue.
mm, so that was like the experience that I've had over my lifetime as being an absolute total Beach Boys nut has. At times I couldn't believe what was happening. When Smile came along, when Smile was unleashed, and I got to see that. I went to the opening night at the
No
Royal
way.
Festival
Wow.
Hall.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
I was. Go on.
so you tell me a little bit, but we're going to schedule another episode just to talk about that.
Okay,
Okay?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I won't go into like the full glories of that, but I'm going to drag it back into Bruce World, and just say it was beyond anything. I was contemplating this obviously because of the very sad passing
Yes.
of Brian that happened last week, and I was contemplating it, and I was just thinking a little bit like your mate saying in '99 about Bruce in 1978 when I was reading the book Brian Wilson and the Myth of California, the
Yes.
David Leaf one, I think it was. When I read that and I started learning about Smile, and I just thought, oh wow, this is incredible, this is amazing. And then of course, there are the tracks that got released via the Beach Boys albums, usually the last track on the album. And so you started to get a little inkling of what this project was actually about. And then all of a sudden, as I say, it's unleashed on the world in the early 2000s. In that moment, I could not even. So, as a 17-year-old reading that book, learning about Smile, it would have been off the scale to say, you will be hearing this and you will be sitting in a gig watching Brian Wilson perform this incredible piece of work. So with Bruce, I'm having these very strange. So I go and see him. So these strange emotions. They are they're mixed because I went. I went to see him in Hyde Park last year. I decided not to go to a UK gig when they were announced in this current run of gigs, and I decided to go with my best friend to see him in San Sebastian. We had previously come to New York to see the Broadway show,
Okay.
and so we both decided let's do something different this time and let's go to a European country. And I'm just saying this because as I stood there in Hyde Park last year, I was just standing, watching, looking at the stage. I was very uh, blessed to say that I was in the circle that was at the front
Yeah.
of the stage in the mosh, exactly like your mate. And I was looking up at the stage, and as he kicked into the river, I just went, "Oh my God!" I was there in 1981 on his second visit to the UK at Wembley. I'm standing there. They're obviously doing the river, and I'm watching Bruce, and I had this incredible experience that felt like a scene out, that movie Interstellar,
Yeah.
where they're slipping through time zones
Yeah.
and different dimensions, and he's looking at himself back in that past, and I just had this transportation. It was like it wasn't just nostalgia. It wasn't just a sense of nostalgia. It was like a heightened state of nostalgia. It was something that I had not experienced before, and I was blown away by it because and then the emotion started to rise, and the rising of the emotion felt like I just felt connected to my teenage self.
Yeah.
I really did, and I'm now in my 60s. I'm looking forward. I'm going to I'm going to see him in San Sebastian. I'm not going in with any. I've learned not to go in with any preconceived ideas or have expectations, but just go along and be open to the experience because now what's happening is different things happen at Bruce gigs for me.
Yeah.
They're very different experiences, and it's to do with where I'm at, and it's to do with where he's at as well,
Yes.
because we are looking at a man and who is obviously advancing in years, has is incredible shape, phenomenal shape, to
Yes.
the point where my wife says when I complain of being tired, she just says, "How old is Bruce?" She just drops it into the mix. If I'm saying, "Do you know what? I'm not feeling it tonight. I just might want to go to bed now. I'm feeling a bit tired." She says, "And how old is Bruce Springsteen?" Or the
Yeah.
other one was like, or Mick Jagger. She throws Mick Jagger in. How old's Mick Jagger? And at which point I say, "Have you seen his wife? She's a 34-year-old ballerina." And with their money, I would probably wouldn't be tired at this point as well.
I that is hilarious. Yeah, I in the middle 90s, Brian was touring Pet Sounds Live, and he would have an orchestra join them. So the Dallas Orchestra played along with Pet Sounds, and that was pretty special. A good friend of mine, I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, Rick, I know you have a connection. Is there any way I really want to get good seats to see this? Would you go with me? And Linda's going to take a pass so that we can afford better seats." And Rick said, "I can just get you free tickets." He said, "I'm sure no one is pushing my connection to get free tickets." So we were able to get second row tickets. And the sense of joy I had seeing him in the middle 90s, he was still talking a lot. He seemed to be really happy. So yeah, David Leaf was nice enough to be on the podcast a couple of years ago. We did two whole episodes. We did one talking about him as a Springsteen fan, and then we did one about his relationship with Brian. And so I emailed him after Brian passed, and I said, "Hey, I know the world has lost a great artist, but you've lost a friend. And I just wanted to tell you I was thinking of you. And if you feel like talking about Brian anytime, let me know." And 2 or 3 days later, he sent me an email saying, Your email really meant a lot to me. And I will want to talk to Brian, but not right now." And I replied back, I said, "Open invitation." So yeah, just I remember reading that, and I shared that with David, reading that the Beach Boys and the California Myth, and being touched, moved by the amount of pain that Brian had gone through in his, because you just hear all the joy in the music. So yeah, it's a big loss,
Oh man,
though I find solace in whatever afterlife we have, he's reunited with his brothers and Melinda, and I'm sure he's playing music somewhere.
absolutely. I had a exactly the same sentiment ran through for me in the when I first heard the news. I had it sounds really corny this, but I'm going to say it anyhow because I
Yeah,
think in my it's just I did I could almost picture him reunited with Carl and Dennis,
yeah,
and I could hear the harm excuse me hear the harmonies because there is in my for me that is spiritual music when those
yeah.
three because it's a thing, isn't it? It's called blood harmony.
Yes. It's like the Everly
It
Brothers. It's the,
it's like
yeah,
the Everlys, it's like the Gibb brothers.
yeah,
There's something, and I am totally drawn to it. There's something so incredibly unique
yeah,
about siblings singing together.
yes,
It creates something beyond. It's beyond words. It's just beyond
yeah,
words. And yeah, as you say, for me, I was just I just leant back into the music a little bit. I got an opportunity actually just a few days ago. I don't know if you have these in the States, you must have. Do you have a thing called listening bars? Have you?
not that I know of.
Okay, so it's a Japanese phenomena, and it's like they when they do it in Japan, it's basically it's incredible equipment that you are able to play your music as a DJ. It's like the decks, the speakers, the amps,
Yeah,
everything is geared up for the listening experience. In Japan, you are not allowed to talk in the listening bars. You just sit and listen to the music that is being played by the DJ. Not quite so in the UK. We're not quite as
yeah,
stringent as that. So anyhow, long story short is that there's a venue in London called Spiritland, and I'm because of my radio profile, I am known as a bit of a Springsteen nut, as a Beach Boys
yeah,
nut. Over the years, people who have listened to my shows will have heard me banging on about the about the joys of listening to their music. Anyhow, so I got a phone call saying, did I want to present a tribute night to Brian, which I did a few nights
Oh,
ago, on all on vinyl, and it was
oh.
wonderful.
If you
Oh
have a
man,
chance, send me the set list. I would
oh I
love
will.
to do that. I'll make my own little playlist and I would love
Yeah.
that. We're going to get to the purpose of the meeting, but
Oh
I
yeah,
did want to know what are your thoughts on Bruce's? I know you haven't seen the tour yet, but certainly you've read discussion
yes,
of the political bit he's taking.
yeah. Okay,
Safe
so
place,
thank you
safe
for saying those
space.
words. Thank you for
Yes,
saying those words. I've been, yes, you're right. I haven't seen the show yet. Because I haven't seen the show, I tend not to go too far into the details of what the show is
I
because
think
I
that's a
want to go
fair
along and have the
assessment.
experience.
Right,
But
yes.
I obviously it was something that one could hardly avoid after
Yes,
the first couple of shows.
yes,
And of course, your president,
yes,
I find it
yes.
difficult to
Unlike
say
some
his name.
people say he's not my president. He's a president of the, he was elected, and I don't
He's
agree
your
with any
president.
of his policies, but yeah,
He's your president. Your
yeah,
president was very vocal as well, so that came up on my radar a little bit.
yeah.
I just, and it was actually, let me just tie this in slightly with what we are here to talk about. And I'm not doing it as a plug because I'm just
Okay.
making reference to it. So the compilation that I've put together that we're going to have a chat about in a bit is called Springsteen's Country. And it's basically a collection of country, Americana, bluegrass, rockabilly type of versions, cover versions of Springsteen songs. I wrote the sleeve notes, and in the sleeve notes, there was a part of the sleeve notes that I was, and it's quite interesting to read it now that we're into definitely something that is stirring up the slightly controversial reactions that are going down.
Yeah,
But in my sleeve notes, I'm talking about how because how people is open. Springsteen is open to many different interpretations.
yeah,
So whether you sit on the left or the right of politics, I suggested in my sleeve notes that he has a song for you.
yes,
It's like we take these songs from our favorite artists and they become our songs. So music is it's not a closed shop.
yeah,
It's a very open thing, and it does what I found strange in the reaction that I picked up on afterwards was that sort of classic sort of vox popsy type of reaction that you might get. And there was a lot of feedback, obviously, on social media that was people saying, why doesn't he just play the songs? Why on earth is he has he decided to get on his high
yeah,
horse and deliver these political speeches? These and it just seems a bit weird that whoever is going to express that point of view has not had a moment in their life when they've realized that Bruce Springsteen has a message, and it's a message that is, it doesn't dominate his it doesn't dominate his stage performances, it doesn't dominate his recorded output, but it's there.
yeah,
And it's a constant that will just be bubbling along sometimes under the surface, and then other times will rise up and come. It will be delivered, but brilliantly, even when those messages are coming up, such as the rising, such as born in the USA, when those
yeah,
messages are very clear, they get misinterpreted, and they have a slightly different people take on a different interpretation of the song and they decide that this is their song. Famously, Reagan adopting Born in the USA for his campaign back in the day. This has been going on forever.
yeah,
For as long as Bruce was stepping into the main arena, you knew that you were dealing and listening to a man with great integrity.
Yes.
And there's no question about that. There is absolutely no. He believes in what he believes in, and he will. It will be there. It will always be there. It's never not going to be there. I think, to tell you the truth, Jesse, I think it's probably more a reflection on America as a whole, as opposed to a reflection on Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Said. And yeah, I love, obviously, I've been very vocal about my politics. I am very liberal, not a fan of this administration, not a fan of the Republican Party, and mostly because their hypocrisy is the thing that bothers me the most. But so I'm okay with it. And I do think that a lot of the people that are complaining are just not paying attention. That so we'll see what happens. It's great. The last time we had you on, you had put together a wonderful
Mm,
release, Ladies Sing the Boss.
lovely. Thank
And
you.
it's a fun collection of amazing female artists doing Bruce Springsteen covers. And I assume it did well enough that you were thinking, I will let you show. Were you
Mm.
going, what else could I do? So tell me the origin story
Mm.
of this latest collection.
You alluded to it there. We Ladies Sing the Boss came out. When was the last time? When? How did you check when we last chatted?
No, keep talking and I will tell you.
Okay, Ladies Sing the Boss. I should have this information at my fingertips. Probably 4 years ago, 5 years
Yeah,
ago. Can't
that's what I
remember.
want to think.
Something,
Yeah.
something like that. And it did, as you alluded to, it did really well. I think it was the record label that I worked with, and these compilations called Ace Records, and Ace were, let's say, pleasantly surprised at
Mhm.
the amount of, we issued it on CD only, not vinyl, the amount of CDs that the compilation sold. And like all great ideas, if it works once, why don't we
Yeah.
try it again? And I'm always up for, I love doing this. This is my day job. Is I'm a DJ and club promoter, and I put on festivals and things like that. I've also, another part, string to my bow, is I've just opened up a record shop as well. So I've got my own vinyl record shop.
Oh, nice.
And this, putting together compilations, is also another part of my portfolio, so to speak. So it didn't take too long to think, if that one worked, I wonder what else might come, what I might be able to do. And why, if I could tell you, there was a eureka moment when I said, I know, it's Bruce Springsteen country and Americana cover versions, but I'm afraid I can't. And I just think it just popped up. It might have come up whilst I was researching the Ladies Sing the Boss, and I might have, because my method of researching projects like this is, obviously, there's a fairly good sort of background of, I've got quite a few of these that I've clocked along the way, some that I've collected. I love, I'm never ever going to say I'm a collector, as in a collect, as in I deal with collectors through the
Yeah.
record shop I'm not like that, but I love picking up cover versions. So I'm quite often finding CDs and vinyl version. And then what I do is I just start to research and find, using there's places that you can go to that have, there's obviously blog sites, and there's so much out there, as I'm sure you're aware, in an artist like Springsteen. There's so much out there. There's so many fans like yourself, like me,
Yeah.
like that have not only just have this as a passion, but have taken it one step further and decided to put stuff out into the world where we can share our passion through a little project that we might be doing, as you do. And so it just lends, it started to lean into this idea of, how, if I start digging a little bit deeper, I wonder how many of these I might be able to find. Because obviously one has to, not only does one have to get do the research to find the tracks, then courtesy of, there's a there's, the record label, which I've
Hmm.
mentioned before, which is Ace, have got a team of people that are just so good at tracking down who owns the rights to certain things. And there's big shout out to Liz, who works in the licensing department, who then goes off. So I give her a list and go, these are the songs that I would really like. And if we end up with 20 tracks on there, I had to put together at least over 30 tracks
Sure.
because some of them aren't going to get cleared. But that's it. It starts to come together very slowly in a way that, oh, yes, there is something we could do here. And that was really the beginning of getting together Springsteen's country.
So just for the record, I released the episode on May 27th, 2022. So
Oh,
that means
wow.
it was least recorded a couple of probably earlier that month. So
Yeah.
yes, it has been 3 years.
Three
Um,
years. There you go.
yeah, and we're going to talk about the tracks and visit with it,
Yeah.
but talk to me about how you touched on this, but if you don't mind going a little deeper, the idea of getting the rights to this and explaining how many hoops does your team have to jump through to get this?
But first and foremost, most definitely they're not my team. I'm their team, I would
Mhm.
suggest. I'm
Okay.
the guy that without them, this just doesn't happen. So
Right.
initially, my research starts, as I say, with just general knowledge that I've accumulated
Yeah.
over the years, knowing that Johnny Cash recorded a version of Johnny 99, and I
Right.
knew that. And then, but then my how I start to dig deeper because there's stuff on this compilation that I didn't know until I started digging. And
Yeah.
okay, for example, there's a version of Darlington County from that is from Jeff Stevens and the Bullets. Man alive, I had never heard of Jeff Stevens and the Bullets.
Yeah.
And it came out in 1986. It was actually came out on Atlantic Records. Now, how did I find that? The reason I found that was because there is this sort of trawling through of I can look at catalogs. I've already said I'm one of the things that I do is I've got a vinyl record shop, and I quite often buy up people's record collections. And when I
Okay.
buy up people's record collections, and then I look at them, and some of them I know roughly what price I'm going to put them out at. But some of them might be really obscure bits that I've never seen before, and I have to look
Right.
them up. And the site that I use is a site called Discogs. And so I go to Discogs and I type in the song name and the artist name, and it comes up and it shows me. It's an online retail outfit, and it's for secondhand vinyl, and it shows me all the different versions of that particular record that I've looked in. So I'm very familiar with. I've used Discogs on constantly on a day-to-day basis, looking up
Yeah.
values of records. But one of the things you can do on Discogs is you can search for an artist as they're listed as a composer on
Okay.
particular records. So if I put in the words Bruce Springsteen, composer, Discogs will reveal to me every single record and CD that has been released ever. And I start to, and trust me, there's thousands, but I start to trawl through them. And there's a lot of stuff on there. There's obviously, and it lists all of Bruce's stuff and everything, but there are thousands upon thousands of releases. So it's pure patience that I will spend and quite a long time, days, if not weeks, going through everything and just trying to find the stuff that I don't know about. And that's where I discover something like Jeff Stevens and the Bullets. So that comes up for me, and then I find out, oh, where was that originally released? And then I pass on those details, as I say, to our ACE, and they will then, through their expertise, and they've been doing this for decades. In fact, they're celebrating their. Am I right in this? Good Lord. Yes, I am. 50th decade of releasing records. They, they,
Wow.
they are the UK's premier. reissued label, the stuff that they release. Even me getting into music in the 70s, they started off by releasing really obscure rockabilly records from the 50s, and then they moved into Northern Souls that was recorded in the 60s, and you get these great compilations. They basically they were a source of knowledge that fed into my obsession with music, that gave me then, yeah, this is very obviously pre-internet. This is where I learnt about music through releases from labels such as Ace. It's a very well-oiled machine that works to get the clearances on the compilation for the compilations. And hats off, and I can't thank them enough for coming through with the goods.
It is a an amazing breakdown of a lot of different artists and a lot of different songs. Things that absolutely Johnny 99 by Johnny Cash, you could have done just as easy. I think his version of Highway Patrolman is actually better than Bruce's version. I know that's heresy, but I just love that version. But things like Ain't Got You.
Mm.
And I I'm a big Nitty Gritty Dirt Band fan, so I
Oh,
was glad to
wow,
see they
okay.
made a version.
Uh,
They
Did
came
you
from,
know it, Jesse? Can I ask you? Did you
please.
know about that version before the
No.
compilation? Oh, great! Oh, that's brilliant. That's music to my ears because that's what it's all about: is
Yeah,
getting
no.
people onto it.
I had no idea. They were the Dirt Band when I first saw them. They went through that phase where they were the Dirt Band. They were on Saturday Night Live, and they came to McNeese State University where I was going, and I saw them, and I was just amazed. And so since then have been a fan. Last year, they actually there was a double bill in a below Austin. There's a outdoor venue, and they opened for Jason Isbell. And so that was a
Wow!
really fun, that was a nice, that was a nice night of music.
Wow!
Yeah, I just,
Great.
yeah. And their latest release is them doing Dylan songs. So yeah, but this was great.
Because they did a version of the one that we've got on the album is
Yeah,
from Small Things, Big Things, One Day Come, which was originally, of course, released, recorded. First recording of that was Dave Edmunds,
yeah.
who put it out in the 80s, and I had heard it via the Dave Edmunds version, so didn't, as you just said yourself, didn't know about that version because it takes it. The Dave Edmunds version does what Dave Edmunds did so brilliantly well, like took the sort of Chuck Berry role and just ran with it. But I loved the idea about that, how that song came to be recorded, because I think it go well. This connects to my passion for Bruce, which probably we talked about when we first met. So I discovered Bruce Springsteen through a radio DJ in the 70s called Roger Scott, who was on Capital Radio in London, and he played so much Springsteen before Springsteen even had a sniff of a hit in the UK. He played so much Springsteen that he got investigated by the broadcast authorities because people thought that he was on a payola from Columbia, from CBS, because he was such an enthusiast for Springsteen, but he wasn't. But he was also a massive enthusiast for Dave Edmunds, and he had taken Dave Edmunds to see Springsteen, and Springsteen was a mute, actually returned it as I am a fan of Dave Edmunds. So when they met in the dressing room backstage, Bruce went, "I've got a song for you," because it had that the original leanings, unlike the country version. The original leanings was very Chuck Berry, which is what Dave Edmunds did so well.
You know, this the other song that I really Girls in Their Summer Clothes talking about Brian
Ah,
Wilson Wright was just one of my favorite songs, and I just
mm.
it to me screams, let me give you a tribute to Beach Boys and Brian. And so to hear their version of that's pretty slick. It is,
This is the band Doc Walker, isn't it, that we
yes.
got on the compilation? I again, you're but it's great because you're pulling out the ones that I really didn't know about until I
Yeah,
started
I had
researching
not
the
known that
project.
either. Yeah.
I did not know about this. They're a Canadian outfit. who were described as the hardest working country band in Canada. And I don't. This version was recorded back in 2009. It's such a. It, Bruce doesn't sing this song enough for me when he's
Yeah,
live.
I agree.
This should be in every set for me. This
Yeah.
is one of my big Bruce songs.
Yes, I am right there with you. And this reminds me a little bit of back in the about the middle of 2000s, they did Dead Man's Town, which was Americana artists doing a tribute to Born in the USA. And like all collections, there's some you like more than others. But are you aware of the collection?
Oh, I'm more than aware.
Okay.
I will now have to reveal
Yeah.
that there was at least two, if not three, tracks from that tribute album because it was a tribute album, slightly
Yes.
different to the Let's Get
Collection.
Together. Yeah. So it was like the artist had gone into the studio and had recorded individual tracks that basically was a complete tribute to Born in the USA, the
Yeah,
album. And it was wonderful. In fact, I might even suggest that might have been part of the inspiration behind getting
I
to
could
this
see
point
that.
with this. Because I knew about it. I've got my own copy on vinyl. I
Yeah.
love that record. Really love that record. And also it has a more contemporary feel to some of the stuff that we've got on this. And that was the one thing that I was trying to get. Anyhow, long story short is the guys over at the record label when they were approached that we could license at least, as I say, a couple of tracks from their album to put on our compilation album, they revealed that we couldn't have them, and they said because they were planning their own reissue of that album. So
Oh, okay.
they didn't want us to steal their thunder, which is
Oh,
totally,
yeah,
you
totally.
know,
Yeah, I'm happy.
you know, there's no way on earth I'm getting upset about something like that.
Yeah.
But the only thing was I really wanted when I put together compilation albums, I try to look at the balance of what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to tell the particular story that I'm trying to tell with the compilation. And I just felt like I didn't quite get enough contemporary style art.
Mhm.
But it might lie something else that might be further down the line, but who
Yeah.
knows?
I know that as we talked about, I'm a big Jason Isbell fan, so their version is amazing. Holly Williams is the one, her version of No Surrender really worked for me a lot in this
Mm.
collection. So that's good. What we've already talked a couple, but do you have maybe one or two more that you
Yeah,
went, wow, I'm so glad I was able to find this gem?
yeah. Okay, so just jumping in with the first one, which is the version of If I Should Fall Behind, which is recorded by Paul Ansell, a name I was not familiar with. It was originally released back in 2008.
Yeah.
Bruce's version was first released on Lucky Town, and for me is probably in my top 10 Bruce songs, If I Should
Hmm.
Fall Behind.
Yeah.
It's, correct me if I'm wrong, because it was a while ago now, but I'm sure that Patty was, when I saw him on Broadway, Patty was coming on and doing it as a duet with him
Yes.
halfway through the show. And then this version that we managed to get on the compilation comes from a UK he's a rockabilly artist, Paul Ansell, and but what he specializes in is taking cover versions and cranking them up into a style that is, if you're going to do a cover version, do it differently. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
yeah, give me something. I don't want note for note. I want to hear something that you're going to bring to the party. And so
Absolutely.
in the past, he's been responsible for a rockabilly version of the Jimi Hendrix Hey Joe. He's also had a rockabilly version of Iggy Pop's The Passenger.
Okay.
So with this one, which is obviously, he keeps it very much in that sort of, for me, it's like a Elvis Sun era.
Yes.
It's stripped down and it's just got that slightly lone cowboy strum that he just plays throughout the whole song. I love it. And again, as I said before, it was one that I hadn't heard of. You did just quickly allude to, but the one of my big favourites, and this was one that I remembered from its original release because it came out in 2006. And at the time in 2006, I was presenting a show on BBC Radio London, and Solomon Burke was in town, and he came on my radio show to promote the album that he had released, which is which was an album just literally called Nashville. Solomon Burke was obviously known as the king of rock and soul, but had always had a connection with country music as well. And when he was releasing all those incredible records on Atlantic back in the late 50s and early 60s. His second single was actually a version of the country song Just Out of Reach of My Open Arms. So when he released this album in 2008, it included duets with Dolly Parton, Gillian Welch, Emmylou Harris, to name but a few.
Wow.
And it's a brilliant album. I really highly recommend it. But he took Ain't Got You, which I adore. Ain't Got You. It was obviously the opening track on Tunnel of Love. And it has that, again, I've used the word rockabilly, but it had that slightly rockabilly feel when Bruce did it. When Solomon Burke takes it down to Nashville, it is just beautiful. It's like a hoedown. It's a proper party track. So that's another particular favorite of mine. Stand on It by Mel McDaniels. That was one that I again didn't know. I was gonna put on the Jerry Lee Lewis duet with Bruce where they do a version of Pink Cadillac, but I went for this instead because I just love this. Again, another slightly more obscure version. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that Stand on It appears on like Bruce's version of the song, because it was originally released and recorded. It was released as the B-side of Glory Days. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
exactly.
So there's a few.
Yeah, no, that's great. Any of them you want to share that you went, I just couldn't quite get, besides the ones
Well,
from,
yeah, yeah, it was. I can't remember exactly which ones I was going
but a
for
couple
of
from that collection? Yeah.
Dead Man's Town. Yeah, yeah, they were the ones that I was really gunning for because, as I mentioned before, I just wanted to get a little bit more contemporary in some of the tracks.
Yeah.
But stay tuned.
Very nice. Good. So how can people find it and how can people purchase it?
Yeah, okay. So go to the Ace. As a proprietor of a record store, I'm going to tell you to get down to your local record store and buy. Walk into the shop and walk up to the proprietor and say, "My good man, do you have a copy of Springsteen's Country, which has recently come out on Ace Records? Because we need your support."
Absolutely. Yes.
And you know what? It is the way that you should be buying music. But failing that, because not everyone's got a local record shop that would stock this type of material. Obviously, using whichever outlet you choose, but I'm going to point you in the direction of the Ace Records website where the shop is there and you can purchase. Not only that, you could also pick up a copy of, if you didn't get it first time around, Lady Sings the Blues. So sorry, Lady
Yeah,
Sings the Boss even.
absolutely. Springsteen's Country, a great album cover.
Oh
I
yes,
love
it's a
that photo.
lovely picture, isn't it?
Yes, it's
Did you know that he had? So what are we saying here? So just for the listener who hasn't seen the picture, it's what year are are we in darkness there? Do you think, as in
maybe,
darkness
yeah,
on the edge of town? I think it's 78, 79,
yeah,
and he's he's on a ranch, but as you can see by the snow that's around the feet,
yeah.
it's obviously it's a ranch in New Jersey. I didn't think he had horses that early. I thought horses came in later with when his daughter came along.
Yeah, I always felt too, and maybe he's just always had a connection to that, that maybe this was just a scene. But yeah, it's absolutely a beautiful cover. It is a wonderful collection of songs.
Thanks, Jeff.
And yeah, I recommend it strongly. I will include the link to where you can buy it directly from Ace. And I agree with Sean. There is something beautiful because remember, that's what we used to have to do. We would walk into the record store, go to B, and start. Oh, they do have Beach Boy albums. Is there any that I don't have?
That's it. Without a fail, even now, I do that. I go,
Yes.
okay, just making sure that there's nothing that I haven't got.
Yeah, it is. It is there. It's like a mentally, okay, Bruce Springsteen, Beach Boys. So yeah.
It's all in the bees.
It is the bees. Yes. Yes.
I don't. I only like music that begins with the letter B.
I made a joke once that Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, Bruce Springsteen, I went through a huge, and I still love Brad Paisley, the musician and the guitarist. And I went through a spell where I was obsessed with, oh shit, now I'm going to get this name wrong.
Go on,
And I'll think of it afterwards.
go on.
Beyond the Sea and
Abby Darren.
Bobby Darin. So it's like all bees. It's all bees on my playlist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then Jason
Beau
Isbell came around
Brummels.
and messed up. Yes. If
The
someone
Beau
wants to
Brummels.
reach you, Sean, what's the best way?
Yeah. Okay, so you can use my Instagram, which is DJ Sean Rowley. I've also got a Facebook going by my name as well. I do also have my other job, which is I have my own brand, which is called Guilty Pleasures, which people can reach out via that. Yeah, I'm out there.
Thank you, my friend.
Oh, bless you.
Let's
Thank you.
email back and forth, and
Yeah,
in a month or so, let's do a Brian and
I'd
Smile
love to do that,
episode.
mate.
Okay, that's
Love
good.
to do that.
All right,
Okay.
that sounds good. All right, listeners, go check out the
Thank you, man.
website, pick it up, show Sean some love. Go to your local record store and say, "Hey, Sean Riley sent me," and then they'll go, "Who?" And you're like, "Yeah,
Oh,
my
this guy in
and
England.
yeah, this guy in England." All right, guys, be safe, be kind. We'll talk soon. Goodbye.